Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Tacoma SRT5 here. Today we are going to address another pet peeves with Pete. Today's pet peeves with Pete specifically is related to those of you who believe, how do I put this? If it was better, then it would come equipped on a vehicle. My opinion, in short, wrong. The dealership wants to make as much money off your ass as they possibly can. So they're going to sell you the cheapest product, and maybe in some instances where you've got like a Nissan GTR or a Mustang, sure, the brakes on that might be a little bit better than they would be on a Ford Fiesta. But there's always going to be companies like Bayer, Willwood, Stop Tech, all these other companies that make a better product that come on your car from the factory, which is why they're considered upgrades. This is all set off from this morning. I was reading on one of my forums about oil consumption in certain vehicles, and some people are like, well, if your vehicle is higher mileage, then it might start consuming oil. You might start off by checking your PCV valve or just replacing it instead of checking it. It's cheap enough to replace, not real hard to get to, not real easy to get to, but either way, that's a step in the right direction. Okay, great. The next step you might take, the same person, is say add an oil catch can. And somebody said, well, if oil catch cans were that great, then they would come in the vehicle from the factory. Well, I'm sure there's all kinds of rules and regulations in place for certain states, certain locations, what have you. That being said, the idea of the PCV valve is, if you don't know what it is, it's positive crankcase ventilation, and it will take fumes of oil that it has turned into basically smoke, and send it through that little valve, and it will get sucked back into your throttle body and fed into your intake system as air to get burned off and be efficient and eco-friendly. Well, what it does is it ruins your engine. All that carbon, that oil carbon, stays behind, and then the air burns off as, air, like air and fuel mixture, whatever. Now, the purpose of the oil catch can is that smoky oil, that fog, goes into a can and has to circulate around for a little bit, and just air comes out. That's the idea. Now, I'm sure they're not 100% effective, but then when the time comes, you can drain the catch can and dispose of that oil just like you dispose of your regular motor oil when you change your motor oil at the station or at home, anyplace else. I don't understand the logic of, if it was better, then the factory would do it. I'm sure it's a factory option on some cars. I don't know. I don't know everything about every single car, and I'm not going to claim to, but it's kind of ridiculous to think, yeah, no, sending oil back through the intake is a better idea than collecting it and disposing of it properly. Even if all the oil residue doesn't get just hung up on your pistons, building up carbon and making your car less fuel efficient and less efficient in general, let's say none of it stays behind, then you're sending oil out the exhaust pipe. So I really don't understand that concept. That's my pet peeves with Pete. I say oil catch cans are better. I would have one on every vehicle I owned, but unfortunately I've got other things to do right now, so it's just not on the top of my priority list. I have heard that it can slow and even stop oil consumption in some vehicles. I have a vehicle that consumes oil, and that's kind of next on the list for me for that vehicle, because I'm not about to tear the engine apart I don't know. I really don't understand the well, you know, I don't like Willwood brakes because, you know, they don't come equipped on factory vehicles, so they must not be the best for my Hyundai Elantra. Yeah, bullshit. Okay, that's my pet peeves with Pete, and hope you all have a good day. Respect yourselves. Be real. I don't know. Have a good one.